Hello everyone, it's Funville and I'm here to bring an update about my whereabouts after exams. It's been around a month or two now without an update and I felt compelled to give one. Fun fact, my birthday is around 4 days and I don't have an exact guess on what I'm planning to get for my birthday. Look, I've never really been the most demanding kid in my family. I don't really ask for things unless I really needed it. My sister, on the other hand, is quite the opposite of me, but I'd rather not dwell on that. Right, anyways, as a student, I take around 8 subjects for exams, being my native language, Bahasa Melayu, English, mathematics, history, science, religion, and physical education for the base subject, alongside economics and accounting for my elective. It's been around 2 years I've stuck with them, and I've since started to grow fond with economics, although I am unable to say the same for accounting. So, what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna go through each subject that I've taken on and give my opinion about their paper. For the first subject, Bahasa Melayu, this one had 3 papers. Paper 1 is more centric no, what? Paper 1 is more essay centric, while paper 2 is being about your understanding, and paper 3 being listening. In my humble experience, I've only faced challenges with paper 2 and 3, 2 being that I was on a heavy time constraint, and 3 being about my carelessness costing me valuable marks. I did far better on paper 1, partially due to me knowing what the actual topic is instead of my proficiency in poetry, while this subject wait, I forgot what I'm supposed to say. Yes, while this subject did not prove itself to be cumbersome, it is very energy taxing to finish the subject, even more so under the condition that leaving a question blank means running around the school. The next day, I was presented with English papers. Interestingly enough, it's also divided upon 3 papers. The 3 principles remains largely unchanged, being about understanding, essay writing, and listening. This proved to be quite a breeze for me since I've done countless essays during my time spent on YouTube. Paper 1 proved to be a little headache inducing, not necessarily because it was hard, not at all actually, but more so because it was tedious. You're usually given a huge chunk of text and have to extract as well as deduce information given in there. So I'd spend quite a while rereading it to make sure if I am correct. It's also notoriously challenging to get perfect marks upon, so that is quite the predicament I was facing. Paper 2 though was a cakewalk for me. I managed to use expansive vocabulary quite regularly, just enough to elevate the reading experience while not lessening the overall clarity of the literature piece I wrote. I am certainly confident I can net myself an A with English, but tell. Time will tell us if I am correct with that prediction. I can't say the same. I can't really say the same thing about the next subject though, which is history. Which, speaking of, I had to take right after English, like the day after English. This was nothing short of unexpected. I have never seen the question asked in the paper. I beg your pardon that one of the questions asks you to review a paragraph. What it actually wanted is undisclosed. I spent quite a while actually studying history, around 8 hours total, only to be disappointed when quite a few topics I studied for did not end up in the paper. I'm hoping to be able to pass, but even that might be a far-fetched dream for me. As of now, I only have a few hopes in my paper 1 to be able to carry my grade in an acceptable level. After that, like the day after that, I had religion papers. I don't really want to delve deep, but this was quite a cakewalk for me. None of the questions posed itself to be that challenging. And that's it actually for week 1. My rating is around 7.5 out of 10, but history really threw a curveball at me. But the rest are manageable. I'm hoping that I can reduce the amount of fails I have this year, but time will tell. Week 2 was quite the rollercoaster ride, to be honest. Goodness gracious, how much turmoil did it put me in for? So for week 2, it starts you off with mathematics, 2 papers, both equally challenging. Tuesday presents itself with science, which is also accompanied by 2 papers. Nearly all the subjects in week 2 has 2 papers worth of questions, and I do not seek to repeat myself like a broken record. Now, Wednesday though, it was economics. Economics felt like a nice break from our mental anguish, since I've grown quite a liking to it. But right after that, it puts me right back into the ring with day 4 being accounting. My goodness gracious, what a train wreck it was. Finally, as the day of recording, English listening test had been conducted. Anyways, let's get started with the first one. So, mathematics. I'm gonna be straightforward. I'm very certain about my failures in math because I hasn't practiced it, right? I did do revision alongside my friends during the weekends, and that did prove to be semi-useful when the day did come. That there's not really much to say about math. I've never been a math head, to be honest. My parents were, but not me personally. I reside not in any category of studies, whether it be literature or problem solving. My handwriting is far too atrocious for me to be a writer, while my problem solving skills in math is somewhat underwhelming. Next, for science, science has always been one of the subjects I consistently find to be at the point of not too hard to pass, but hard enough to gain anything above B. It's still quite a fun. It is quite a fun subject to learn, courtesy of experiments and the textbook having a lot of infographics and medias. But it can get complicated if you are behind. Catching up isn't a big ask by any means, but it's still something worth noting for. For science paper 1, I got an exceptional 28 out of 4. I can't speak. I got an exceptional 28 out of 40. It isn't the highest by any means, not at all. But I am grateful with what I have. Paper 2 remains to be seen. I feel fairly indifferent to science. It isn't my favorite apple of the tree, but it's by no means a bad subject. Hovering into day 3 though, it's economics. I'll tell you what, it went excellently for me, at least as far as I remember. I already have a strong understanding of the basics from last year, so carrying it forward to this year's mean I can leverage my past knowledge to create a more cohesive, deep and thorough answer. However though, I did leave a few questions blank, not because I couldn't answer them, I can't speak, more so to the lack of time given. 2 hours and 30 minutes felt alarmingly short. Interestingly enough, the question in there was identical to the practice question we were given just a few days before the exam. That triggered an innate sense of deja vu in me. Since I've already answered the questions before, I'm hoping to be able to maintain or preferably improve my grades from last year. Given the right circumstances, Wednesday was truly the calm before the storm. That is accounting. Speaking of accounting, much like said before, is an absolute train wreck to me. Not just me, but you could say for my classmates too. But still, I'd like to mention honorable subjects, being physical education and psychometric. I'm fine with taking them, but I found it somewhat odd that it is placed within the first week. On day 2 and 3, where we are supposed to take English and history paper, it's not a deal breaker by any chance, but it is definitely an inconvenient and a flow disruptor if you can say so, given that it slid itself into such a busy schedule. Anyways, I'd like to rank each subject from their difficulties here on out. Coming in at number 1, it's gotta be English for me. Well, I mean, is there really anything for me to say? It's English after all. I do video essays for my own enjoyment. It doesn't really get deeper than that. Next, we have economics. But I'll tell you this, I truly owe it all to my old economics teacher for taking her time to really get me to understand the core of economics. Even if she didn't taught other students as much, I do owe it to her for taking me under the wings. After that, we have religion. The simplest way I can say to this subject in particular is that I studied hard and it paid off. Alright, coming in fourth, we have science. Just to be in line with my opinion, I found this subject to be quite stress-free to do, but there were still a few hiccups here and there. It's not the easiest subject, but it's far from being a train wreck. Going into the straight middle place, we have history and Bahasa Melayu. Right, this is where I start messing up. Look, I was sleep deprived. I studied for 8 hours straight, and one of the topic is just not there, right? I was sitting in the exam hall just confused about where would the topic I studied for. And for Bahasa Melayu, it's mostly due to time restraint. It's probably the most exhausting subject physically. And then coming in that last is mathematics and accounting. Look, there was a question that I wish I could have answered in math. Alright, it was a standard deviation, but the data had algebra in it, and I just couldn't figure out how to solve the algebra first for the life of me. And that costed me around 10 to 12 marks. And for accounting, it's just pain. Anyways, that is all from me from now. I apologize if some of the clips is a bit noisy. Until next time, farewell.